Let's bring back everybody, all our presenters on the screen. And if you have any questions for anybody or any comments, please raise your hand from the audience and jump in. Um, I think they've raised these presenters here have raised some interesting points and some challenges to our Headwing economics model that we need to look at for version 2 when we start working on that. Um, but Dawn, I was actually going to come to you. I knew you were. I wanted to get your input on what he was talking about the international currency, because I know you're very involved with that, but whatever you want to talk about.
Yes, well, probably it's Michael Graney, our director of research, who is more expert in the specifics of what Professor Sands was talking about. But I did want to get his thoughts on, um, given the potential disruptive impact of de-dollarization in terms of trade and global security, do you still think that there's a fundamental problem having a reserve currency that's backed by government debt and so subject to political whims? Do you think for the future cooperation between all countries that there will eventually need to be some kind of global currency to provide a global standard as well as real backing by real things of value? And that in addition, that the system itself of how money is created, the currency is created, that become democratized in some way so that it is not controlled by either a government or a few private individuals.
Well, it's for me.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a long question, sir.
Thank you, Dawn. Thank you, Dawn. A very interesting question. I hope I had answer for you, but in my particular view, I think that for the U.S., having the dollar in this moment is not a good idea. I mean, to have the dollar as a reserve is very costly and is very heavy. You only have to see the $34 trillion debt, no? Accumulating every month, and the Federal Reserve, the Department of the Treasury Department. I see that there is a very inefficient for the country. I think that if we have to think in a global currency, we invented yet. I mean, the special drawing rights of the International Monetary Funds should be play this role. In this sense, I really think that we need to recap the idea of Keynes. Keynes in 1944 proposed Bancor project in the moment of the Bretton Woods birth. In Bretton Woods agreements, Bancor was not an idea that triumphed in this moment. But Keynes was right about the project, in my opinion. I think that instead of Bancor, we have the special drawing rights, and I think that it should be the global reserve in some kind, no. So I really think that to mix global leadership of the United States and in addition to global reserve currency is very costly for even for the same power, for the same country, for its citizens. Regarding the deficit, the public debt, and all the treasury emissions of bonds, etc., etc. I really think that we need to, in Headwing economics, we should to think in adjustment of the special drawing rights in order to become a kind of global currency in
Thank you.
a more special drawing rights with some kind of adjustments inside the International Monetary Fund.
Thank you.
Interesting ideas. Okay. We have Reverend Heaven Ndonga. Could you just unmute yourself and make your comment or question and tell us, where are you from?
Thank you so much. Yes, I am in South Africa. I'm in South
Welcome.
Africa.
It's great to get international perspective on all of these things. So please go ahead.
Thank you so much. Um, Once again, thank you so much for the beautiful presentations. Really, I got really reflective when during your presentation. There is definitely a multi-polarizations and approach on the current situation, especially on the BRICS and I can say G20 on the NATO side, which of course the dollarization is there, but also we are understanding the side of security and power that is really playing along with the economy. And being in South Africa, there were as well a BRICS summit that is that has happened as well. And one of the concerns was that there is still a problem of balance within even each blocks. If you go to NATO, there's a imbalanced situation. You go to BRICS, there's also imbalanced situation whereby the most powerful, there's no mutual prosperity. It's mostly one of the powerful countries mostly benefiting from the situation. And rooted in those situations, there is a problem of trust and values, which is anchoring deeply the situation if you look at within, at the inside. So how can the Headwing approach really tackle the situation of trust, one within each groups, each blocks, but also trying to bridge, as you mentioned, Mr. Pablo, on your presentation, there should be a bridge. But I think the bridge as well should have more details, especially with trust and values that should be defined. And how can that be put forward really to foster this? Because even I'm afraid that even if there is a new currency, there is still going to be the African continent, which is still going to be left behind because Africa is also suffering from the same situation. Because then we'll be consuming a currency that's definitely majority of the country in Africa is not part of. And already we are using dollars. And Muammar Gaddafi wanted to introduce another currency, which is gold currency, real gold currency, that can really weigh on the current wealth. But that was really not accepted, on the global south and other countries. So how can this really be on your approach, and of course it's open, how can this situation be solved looking at the global ramification
Yeah, I think
and for lasting peace? Thank you.
I think you're raising a very good point about trust, and trust always has to come with verification, right? So the ability to have transparency and see what's going on. And I think there's a lot of suspicion of countries like America or China or Britain being very imperialistic and investing just so that they can control or get money out of a country, extract profits, right? So does anybody have any thoughts around this? Pablo, Dawn? Dawn, go for it.
Well,
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 I think it's a very important point that Professor Ndonga made, and that is not only trust, but power. And as long as you have powerful, rich nations and more vulnerable, economically weaker nations, there's going to be that distrust. But we have to look, I think, at a lower level than at the nation state level in terms of distribution of power. And so I think that what Kelso was pointing out, and this is why I would hope all the brilliant scholars who are gathered here today look more seriously at what he was saying, that economic power and access to private property in productive capital must start with each person, every citizen of the world. That will allow for mutual cooperation in many different forms rather than on the basis of I'm a citizen of this country, you're over here, so the competition between nations. Every country has the potential to become prosperous, and certainly Africa is a giant waiting to stand up. There's great power in the people of Africa and the natural resources, and it is just a failure of today's system that the people of Africa are in the position they are. So I think in what you were calling for, this definition of values and standards, we really need to look closely at power, its concentration and deconcentration, and how our financial systems and our money systems play into that.
Thank you. And Pablo, you were going to offer a comment too?
Well, yes, I appreciate the comment of Donga. I think that he was right. I think that, but from my point of view, of course, Headwing economics role is to become a bridge between two worlds, that they are decoupling, unfortunately, between G7 or Western countries and the BRICS. No, but we need to rethink that the Headwing economies become or is elaborated from a Western point of view. And this is a good point, of course, but this is a thing that maybe we need to rethink. Why? Because the Western mindset, the Western concept of the human rights, for example, is not shared by other civilizations or other peoples around the world. So Africa, for example, is global South. They are now living the colonial mindset during centuries ago, centuries ago. So decolonization is now a fact, and post-colonial scenario opens to Africa. So we need to think that, for example, the African Union has a huge role in this new scenario. So this is why I include the African Union as a key partner or key player in the new multilateral area. So I think that Headwing economics needs to include new actors or partners in order to play the role of a real bridge for the global South, because the global South is in the middle between the BRICS and Western countries. Of course, in the case of South Africa, is included in the BRICS, but I am referring to the rest of Africa. So I think that this is my point now, to transform Headwing economics to a real commitment for a global South as a third way between BRICS and G7.
Thank you. Thank you. I see Alan Jessen as his hands raised, so I will give him 2 minutes to make a comment. There we go.
Thank you. So, first of all, as we wrap up here, thank you very much for coming on. And we had a question from yesterday that I'd like to ask each of the presenters to give a brief response to, and that is the name of Headwing. So do you find Headwing as a good term to use? Will that be something that can be permanent, can be built on, can be brought into the public discourse more eloquently, or should we look for another? But Headwing is of course, what we're framing here. So, but just like your comments to help us. Thank you.
Yeah, and as you do this, this will be kind of your final comment. So as we wrap everything up. So, why don't we start out with Pablo, and then we'll work around here.
I think
Yeah.
no, the name is totally right. I think I like it to be honest. I really think it's very descriptive and very clear. I think so. I agree with the title. Headwing economics is easy to remember, clear, sound. I think it is good choice.
Can you
Okay.
use it in your classes as an instructor?
I think I can use it for my teaching. Yeah, of course.
Oh, good. Well, thank you. And Dawn?
As an English major, I think as Dr. Sounds had said, you look for, does the word convey meaning generally, and does it have a sound and impact that is memorable? And I think certainly the word headwing is memorable. I was a little confused when I first heard the term because apparently it's also a reference to the wings on Mercury's head. But yes, the presentation, though, several, I think, clarified in my mind when you say left wing, it's not what I was expecting, meaning left wing, meaning possibly socialist, and the right wing being laissez faire. It had to do with the individual nature of human beings and the social nature of human beings, which becomes reflected in institutions. So I think that as I understood that better, it made sense to me, and the idea of, in a sense, the heart and then the mind. This is a very, I'd say, coherent and integrated image. It may cause a little bit of confusion at first because I don't think it's a commonly used word. But once I understood it, I think it's very consistent with what we call the just third way.
Thank you. And Bill, I know you've got your camera off, but are you able to make a few more
Yes,
comments?
I apologize that my internet is unstable for the moment, so I didn't want to lose completely. But I think it's very clear, very concise. I would use it in my class. I will use it in my class.
Thank you very much. And Dr. Ward? Sorry, you're on mute still.
I have to say I was impressed that you made the decision to go with this term. And I just kind of I thought, well, okay, so that's going to be it. Then we should proceed down that particular path. I feel that it makes sense, and it does kind of have a tie-in to the IAED. I mean, if you use another term, it's not the IAED terminology. So I think it makes a lot of sense. And people see a term, and based around that, they build. So if you ask me, I mean, this is the whole idea of a headwing economics. It's a conversation, and I think that one of the ways to begin a conversation is to give it a name. And I thought you've already done that. So anyway, I congratulate you on making that decision.
Thank you. So I think I'm going to let Abe speak. Okay, you've got 1 minute, Abe.
Okay,
Because we
maybe
need to
maybe
wrap up.
second. Thank you very much. It was very powerful presentations. I just have a question maybe for Pablo or maybe Don. I know like he mentioned the African Union being like a bridge maybe for Africa. The problem with that is African Union is heavily funded by the European Union. They have no voice actually. How do you mitigate that? Whatever they say is connected to the Western powers.
Well, if I could jump in, I would say the point is own or be owned.
Okay.
So until the people, not the governments, not the elite, but every person has an equal opportunity to be able to acquire productive capital of all sorts, those people and nations will always be subject to the whims of more powerful countries. So it has to do with economic power.
Okay. Thank you very much. So a big thank you to the people, all of our presenters from both today and from yesterday. I think you've done an amazing job putting deep thought into what you wanted to talk about and pulling together new ideas and not just old things, but really thinking about what is the future going to be? What do we want to build for the future in terms of a better world? One of the points that came out of yesterday's presentation is that so much is actually predicated on how we improve ourselves as people and we become better people. But we also need to build systems and structures in a society that can deal with the world as it is so that we can get from where we are now to where we want to go. And that's, I think, what we're trying to do with these Headwing conferences is to think about what are those ideas, what are those structures, what are the policies that we want to put in place going forward. Our plan is to hold another one of these in about 6 months, maybe sooner if people are really clamoring for it and you want more. So we'll see what happens. Okay.
Roger, this will be recorded and posted, right?
That's correct. So these programs have been recorded. Once we review everything, and we'll edit it together a little bit make it more succinct, and then we'll post it on our YouTube channel so that everybody can get access and you can share it as well. And if anybody has any, if you want to share your presentations, please send them to me and then we will send them out in the next email that we send out from our organization. Thank you to our participants, for everybody for sticking with us for 2 hours of economics jargon. Sometimes it's not an easy lift for people, but I hated economics in school, but I really enjoy these presentations because they're about real life. So thank you very much, everybody.
Okay, thank you.